Downtown Fargo, where culture, creativity, and community collide. You've heard the headlines. Now hear what's really happening. Bringing the best of Broadway direct to you. The stories, the people, and the places that make downtown the heartbeat of our city. This is Rocky's Downtown Hour with Rocky Schneider.
Happy Friday, everybody. This is Rocky Schneider on Rocky's Downtown Hour. We have a lot of guests coming on the show today, and we're looking forward to a great summer event season in downtown. There's always a lot going on, so it's getting tough to figure out what to talk about. But I'm excited because it's officially summer. The Island Park pool is open. I have a couple stats. There's an estimated in the first week they were open, the Island Park pool brought in 7,500 different people, about 10,000 visits to downtown, with multiple repeat visitors, obviously, coming back to the pool. If you haven't, I'd be curious to hear somebody who's tried the Fly Time slide and watch them launch. I was up in Bell Bank, the new beautiful Bell Bank there on Main Avenue and First Avenue South, and I got to watch the video or watch from the window of all the kids going off the Fly Time slide, and it was kind of jealous. So I'm curious to hear somebody who's gone down it. I know you have to sign a waiver, and so I'm sure it's a lot of fun. Anything you have to sign a waiver for in life probably means it's going to be fun. So that's just a good life lesson for everybody out there. But yeah, Island Park's been closed for the last 2 years, and I think we've forgotten what sort of driver that is for both visitors for downtown, for quality of life for the neighborhood and the residents, but also what a tourism draw it is. Because I know those visitors aren't all from downtown or the Hawthorne neighborhood. They're coming from all over the state or region. It's going to become an attraction, and hopefully all those people are going to spend some money in our community, go out to eat, run errands, drop their kids off there, just have a good time and make some memories. And that's what downtown's all about, is making memories. And so we are constantly looking at ways to refresh the customer experience in downtown. The City Commission last week approved an evaluation of public amenities in the right-of-way. That's a lot of words that people don't use every day. And so what I wanted to explain, I got some questions about that, calls and emails this last week. And I just wanted to maybe point out that you're happy to call in anytime on this show. Our call-in number is 701-293-9000, 701-293-9000, or you can always email me, rocky@downtownfargo.com. If you have a live question, I'll try to get to it. Otherwise, I'll get to it sometime in the week and try to address it at next week's episode. But yeah, so the City Commission approved it. It was on the consent agenda, so it didn't get a lot of press or anything, but they're a refresh and an evaluation of our amenities. So the Broadway was designed about 25 years ago in its current format. And you can see, beautiful streetscape going on. We have, sidewalks that enter right into the businesses. It makes downtown unique, where that right of way, which is really the public sidewalk and roads, the businesses' doors open right into that right of way. It's not like that in most areas of town. And so it makes it somewhat different in a shared customer experience. But we're going to look at things like the benches, the pedestrian signage, the garbage cans, making sure the locations that were designed 25 years ago still make sense today. We still want people to feel comfortable walking, have plenty of room to walk down, make sure there's seating where they're supposed to be, make sure where there's other amenities where we need them as, buildings change, developments change, flows have changed. And so we're going to try to look at that, see what that happens. We have signed a contract with a firm in town called Confluence to really help us out with some pedestrian signage. And so for what that means for people is, right now we have some down there with some maps and things, but we're looking at, columns, kind of monument signs that will point out, where parking ramps are, where Broadway Square is, where City Hall, where's the library, maybe, have a map on there where the murals are downtown. Right now it's kind of a hunt. We have a lot of beautiful murals, but it's kind of a hunt if you want to go tour them all. And, everyone has their favorite, and it's kind of fun being hidden, but having some really interactive pedestrian signage. So when people are walking around, if you're new or if you're even a return visitor, you might learn something new on them. So trying to figure out how we do that in that same sort of narrow space that all of downtown shares. I also think, 25 years ago, Broadway was about it for downtown. We've expanded out that circle of, where people walk to, where businesses are located. And we're going to try to figure out, are there some places to maybe move some benches that need seating now that we now have Broadway Square, that is sort of the gem of downtown, and there's a lot of seating there. Do we need benches next to Broadway Square, for instance, when we already have seating at Broadway Square? Could those benches be better used, reused somewhere where we've expanded downtown now, where they don't have a public park area, but we also need public seating for that? So we're going to look at a lot of those things, look for that over the next couple of weeks this summer. As you might notice some changes, but notice that we're doing this with a purpose. There's a plan in place, and so we're kind of working through those logistics right now. But we're excited about it. Kind of keep things being refreshed. And another pet peeve of mine you'll see in a couple weeks here is we're going to repaint all of the street lights. And so keeping things maintained, making sure the city and our downtown bid and everything else is being the role model. I think we can't expect businesses to keep up their stuff if we're also not keeping up ours. And so, got to keep things looking good. The salt and stuff in the winter, dogs going to the bathroom, everything else takes a toll on the street, paintings and things like that. So we're going to try to refresh those and get a good look. It's been 25 years. It's about time for that. Later on the show, though, speaking of times, we have the time capsule that opened up yesterday. We have somebody from the Fargo Library that's going to join us. There was a 50-year time capsule. I'm curious what we'd put in a time capsule today that we think people would care about in 50 years or 100 years. It's tough to believe things will be that different. I know they opened up some goodies yesterday that show what was popular in 1975 when we celebrated the 100-year anniversary of Fargo. So now it'll be 150 years of Fargo with that 50-year time capsule. So we'll talk about that later on the show. But we got a lot of good events coming up next week in downtown and this weekend. On Saturday is Somali Heritage Day at Broadway Square from 4 to 9. So come down and enjoy good music, food, celebration of the Somali culture that's made Fargo home and the Fargo area home. Next week, I think, is the coolest day. It's called 701 Day. Yeah, obviously 701 is our area code in North Dakota and in Fargo, but it's also the July 1st, so we kind of play off both things. Makes it for a good event. I feel like we should do 701 specials everywhere. I know Rose Wild, for instance, is leaning into it. They have a bunch of deals for $7.01, and so check those out. I encourage other businesses to try to lean into that too. The Fargo Park District puts this on. It's a really fun event and celebrating our state. You get to make a flower bouquet out of some native flowers. You can make some other North Dakota design things, but there'll be music and fun. I believe they also have a special Silver Linings ice cream that will be served at the square that day. They're going with German chocolate cake, of course, to celebrate our German heritage in North Dakota. And then also lavender blackberry, I think, is the other one. So that should be good. I'm still in the lobbying business of trying to figure out what could we do for a Broadway Square flavor at Silver Linings. And so someday I will get that win and get a flavor at Silver Linings. It's a life goal of mine. So trying to work that out. If anybody has any good ideas on that, let me know. But coming up next on the show, we're going to talk about TEDxFargo. TEDxFargo is a 2-day event this year. I think TEDx is one of those things you might have heard about online or seen, some emotional speech that somebody sent you. Fargo does an amazing job of this, and it's really become kind of a jealousy of everybody else in the country that we've had these kind of one-off TEDx events that have become such a thing. It's such a draw. We get speakers, not just local ones, but from all over the country that come here, share their stories, inspire people, and really kind of just spread whatever they've learned and give that information to the rest of us to try to take it and build upon it. So if you don't know what TEDx is, we have somebody coming up next, Liz, to talk about TEDx, and we'll see you then. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Friday. It's Rocky Schneider with Rocky's Downtown Hour. I'm joined by two guests, Liz Campbell and Randy Olson-Heinold, and they are here to talk about TEDx. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So excited.
Yeah, it's fun to have two guests at the same time. This is kind of new for me too, so I'm going to hopefully we don't all talk over each other and try to figure it out. But this is great. So, okay, what is TEDx? I always like to start with the high-level question for people who have no idea what TEDx is.
TEDx is a massive event that we do each year that is bringing together the community over ideas we're spreading. So TEDx events happen all over the world. There are 3,000 of them in the world, and ours is one of the best.
Why is Fargo's TEDx the best?
Mm-hmm. We've been doing it for 15 years, I think. And each year we reimagine how it can look, but then we continue to build out not just that day, or this year, the 2 days, but we build out the entire week to have events and experiences. We bring the community together. We connect our speakers into the community, and we make it more than just what's happening on the stage. And we continue to have TEDx organizers from around the country come and check out our event and connect in to improve theirs and continue to grow.
So new this year, it's 2 days.
Yeah.
And just a ton of speakers. So I like it because you have local speakers, obviously. Randy, President Cook is going to speak. Great guy, sharing his story. But you also have, I'm excited for the CEO of People for Bikes will be here.
Yes.
My friend Kelly McGelkey from Denver, who's a filmmaker and mountain biker, will be here. Just a lot of cool, different speakers sharing their stories.
Yeah. We have, this year, my team and I were realizing, we're like, oh, we have a lot of speakers that are on like quality of life and recreation. Like that's so exciting. And so we're reimagining like what are some adventures that we can do? Can we have a bike ride over lunch? Can we find ways to get people outside and experiencing Fargo? And so it's another one of those ways that we just kind of
It's almost like we should have an annual recreation and quality of life summit.
Weird.
We've done one of those. Yeah.
Have we?
So that's fun.
Just kidding.
But yeah, so how many speakers are there total?
Right now, I think we're at 35.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. So looking at the tickets online, because you got to get tickets, and it can be a little intimidating because there's like the 1 day option, 2 day option.
Yes.
If you just want to see one speaker, do you still get the 1 day option?
Yes,
Anything
great
else
questions.
people need to know?
Yeah, so tickets, you can get them at TEDxFargo.com, and I'll connect you over to Eventbrite. But yes, you can get a 1 day ticket, so you can show up on Wednesday, you can show up on Thursday, or you can get all access, which gets you both days and then some bonus content too. And if you want to just see one speaker, come for the whole day. I think that's one of the coolest things about TEDxFargo is that you come thinking that, okay, I want to hear this one speaker, this concept, really, I love it, I'm here to cheer them on. And then you hear 10 other speakers that you never even thought about those ideas. You wouldn't have even read that article or watched that video or signed up for that podcast, that you get to learn more that you never thought you could ever be exposed to.
So maybe another question. So I have a new coworker, an intern with us, who's said, hey, can I go to TEDx as part of work? Because my mom's coming all the way from Western North Dakota to go to TEDx. And I'm like, yeah, I think people in offices should send their employees. But maybe
Absolutely.
like, why should this be like a professional development day? Looking at it that way.
So it really is that cross of professional and personal. There are those things that you'll recognize concepts on mental health, which workplace and personal life, right? Like it's tying everything together. It is a way to bring your team together for team bonding. You can have lunch together, you can have coffee together, you can go back to the office afterwards and have conversations about these concepts or topics that you've heard about. And anytime that you can bring folks together over community, you're going to be stronger for it. And that's really the premise of TEDxFargo. And we would love to have community companies bring your team members, your board members. We have group ticket discounts. That would be awesome.
Okay, so how do you pick your speakers? This is a segue I'm working at here.
Yeah. Nice. Is Rocky wanting to be a speaker?
No, I'm trying to get to Randy.
No, it was really
Not that
good.
you're dominating the conversation.
That was a good
but,
transition. I
that's
liked
good.
it. How we pick our speakers. So a lot of our speakers actually come from recommendations from past speakers, because they've been on the stage, they know the stage, and speaking on a TEDx stage is different than a lot of other keynotes or talks that folks will do. And so they've been there, they've experienced it, and they oftentimes have the connections of, I see this in the world, and it's an idea that we're spreading, and we want to bring them to Fargo.
Yeah. Okay, so one of your speakers, Randy Olson-Heinold.
So excited.
Randy, who is Randy?
I'm an Aries. No, I'm just kidding. No, I grew up in Fargo and moved away for a while, and thinking there was, Fargo was lame and whatever. And then recently, or not, it feels like recently, but it was actually like 12 years ago. Oh goodness. Came back on a whim and saw that all that like emerging prairie and all the cool things happening downtown. And as someone in my late 20s, I was like, this is something cool I want to be a part of. So I moved back here, stuck around. I have my background as a wellness practitioner, focusing mostly on massage and yoga and like wellness coaching. And so I decided to build up my clientele here and opened up a studio, and that evolved into online stuff and speaking and podcast and all sorts of things. It's evolved. And so, but I really loved being involved with everything happening downtown and building community. And it just seemed like the right time of life to invest in that. So
what are you hoping people get out of your part at TEDx?
A few things. I feel like what I have to share is something I hope people resonate with as they're just remembering maybe a part of themselves that they've forgotten. like how to listen to your own intuition and your own like inner guide to help navigate your own healing. Because I think so often we try to find outside sources and there's so much noise out there that I do want to share a unique way of approaching your wellness. But I think more of it is I just want people to feel like they're okay and they have what they need and they can trust their own intuition in this wild world we live in.
So I find when I'm speaking at an event, I haven't spoken at TEDx, no one's asked me or suggested, so not throwing that out there to the world. I have nothing to say other than every Friday at 11 on WDAY.
Of course.
But I would just say, whenever I've had to speak to a group, it's like you get a lot out of it as well, because it makes you center your own thoughts and figure out what your message is. And so maybe what are you hoping to get out of being a speaker?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, this has been a really interesting process because for the past like 3 to 5 years, I've been focusing more on having children and bringing that into the world. And as they do, they change your whole worldview. And I've shifted a lot of my approach to wellness and what to prioritize just for my own journey. And so I feel like I'm kind of coming out of that fog now. And so it's a really unique time to be asked to speak because I feel like I'm still in such a learning phase. And so this has helped me really go within and be like, how do I feel about things now? And what have I learned that I can offer? So it's been a really intimidating and nervous process to feel like I could stand up there with something solid to say at this point in my life. But I'm getting there and I feel really good about it. And it's been a huge opportunity for personal growth. And I think I was actually talking to Greg about this people don't realize all that a speaker goes through to be able to get up on that stage. Some people are super confident. They may have talks already in the pipeline, or they're like, this is one of the most significant moments of their life. And they really have to do a lot of work to show up.
Yeah. So how many people, Liz, is a speaker speaking to? How many people do you get at TEDx?
This year, we're going to have 500 each day.
Oh, wow.
So a total of 1,000 people. We'll have different speakers each day. But to speak to what Randy was saying, the speaker prep is a ton. I mean, these speakers, Randy and then everybody else who's in this group, they've had countless calls with me. Most of them are working with speaking coaches. They are connecting in with friends, with family, the reflection. It is... I have a lot of speakers say, like Randy said, this is pivotal for me. Like, this is my moment. And I always ask the speakers, what is the message that you have to share that only you can be the one to tell this story to or give this idea to? Like, what is it that makes your story the right one? And I had one of the speakers, his name is Vern, and he said, this is the cornerstone moment for me. He is retired, and he said, this is the moment that is what I want to leave on the stage is my cornerstone to my career. And so I just think about that moment, and it holds such a powerful weight. And so when attendees come in and they see the speakers and they see the environment and the atmosphere and all of that, and then a speaker gets on stage, it's felt by the attendees, and it creates this environment that people are so supportive. They're so excited. They'll cheer folks on. If there's a moment when a speaker like freezes, which is not going to happen to Randy.
No,
not at all. A moment that happens, the audience will just like cheer them on and get behind them. Like, it is the coolest environment. It is so much fun. It is so supportive. I have goosebumps right now thinking about it. And selfishly, everybody needs to come.
Yeah. Vern Dosh, right?
Yes.
Yeah. My brother was a vice president at NSIC under Vern, just loved Vern. So.
I just want to talk to Vern all the time.
Yeah,
Vern, if you're listening, we love you.
The best part about being a speaker, though, is when you're on stage, you have bright lights. You can't even see the audience. So it doesn't matter. It could be one person. It could be 100,000. Who knows?
That would be wild.
So it's easy. Yeah. You can do whatever. Okay. So what else do we need to know about? So TEDxFargo.com, right? That's where people find information.
Yes.
If we want to find stuff about old, do you have is it stream? Can we watch old ones?
Yes. You can still go on TEDxFargo.com and see past speakers.
What's your favorite one that you've had from the past?
That's like picking a favorite kid.
I know.
I don't like that.
Mine's my daughter because she's in studio with us today.
Hey.
So it's an easy answer.
One of my favorites, I will not say it is my favorite because I'm not going to pick that, but one of them is Tom Kemmers. I don't remember if we talked about this last time we talked about TEDx, but
Tom's he's a hidden gem.
Hidden gem.
Diamond in the rough, maybe even.
Yes. And he talked about how skateboarding changed his life. And he had one singular slide, and it was a photo of him on a skateboard as a kid and how it changed the trajectory of his life. And so I would never have really, I don't skateboard, I'm not coordinated enough, but being able to go and hear this talk for me from the backstage and know the work that Tom put into it and to have that moment and have that reception for him was huge. So.
Okay, so we're going to be back with segment 2 and you guys are segment 3. So you're still going to be on with us. So thank you. We'll continue the conversation about TEDx when we get back. Welcome back. We're talking all things TEDx. What are the days of TEDx at Fargo?
July 23rd and 24th.
And so you got to get your tickets because it's going to sell out at some point.
Yes. Yeah, we're pretty close to selling out. But we invite you to join us.
Okay, so I got a question asked of me. So if you go you want to dip your feet in the water, you buy the 1-day ticket, you go that first day, Wednesday, and you're like, this is awesome. I want to come back Thursday. Do you have to buy a whole nother 1-day ticket or can you upgrade back to the 2-day?
We'll do the upgrade. Yeah. So then you'll have the 2-day and you get the swag and you get all the cool stuff. Did I mention swag with the 2-day?
Okay, you got a break. What is some swag?
Oh, I can't tell you. It's all secrets.
But it's going to be good.
Oh, it's going to be good. And themes along with thread, right? Think about that. Our theme
and the
being
TEDx colors look good.
Thank you.
The black and red.
Yes.
Feel like you could wear some original Jordans with them and just.
Yes. We would also recommend bringing some denim and wearing denim. Jeans and whatnot.
It's all about the thread.
Yes.
The thread for community. Okay, so we're going to talk about community. What does community wellness look like? How does TEDx help that vibrancy? And what does it do for our community as a whole?
I can talk a little bit about the TEDx and the community vibe. So that's literally at the core of everything that we do, but we have a lot of partners in the community who have bought in a little bit extra with TEDxFargo. So other folks have been sponsors. So shout out to all of our TEDxFargo sponsors. And in addition to that, we have a lot of folks that we call community amplification. And so it's basically, how do we turn the town red for TEDxFargo week? And so
painting the roses red.
Oh,
like that,
we need another performer. Do you want to perform on TEDxFargo stage? That was awesome. We have Blarney Stone. They're doing a special TEDxFargo cocktail menu. We have a couple coffee shops around town, Black Coffee and Waffle.
Do you have a Silver Linings ice cream flavor? Because that's my goal in life.
We used to, and we might kind of want to bring it back. Call us Silver Linings. Coffee sleeves are going to be around. Drecker, watch out for the week after the 4th of July. There might be some art installs in there, all focused on TEDxFargo. Marges, they're doing week of specials that are all themed TEDxFargo. And then there's going to be an after party on the Wednesday on the 23rd down at Marge's Diner, where if you show your badge, you get a drink free.
It's delicious there. The hangover hash.
So good.
That's money.
So good. So lots of fun things in the community as far as how people are buying into it, which leads perfectly into everything that Randy does with community.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's one of the reasons I love Fargo, and people come to Fargo for whatever reason. A lot of it things like TEDx, and they're just blown away with the community. It's very unique. It's very intentional. And I think we forget about how important that is in our well-being. Especially, it was a problem before the pandemic, but it's even got amplified with isolation, not a lot of in-person connecting, and people going through serious health issues and life stuff, thinking they're so alone or thinking they're at fault for struggling. But when you actually open the door and you start talking to people past the "how are you doing fine" conversation, and you're like, how are you really doing? You say something and someone's like, I was struggling with that same thing. So a big part of healing that I think we forget about and don't take the time to make more events about this or gatherings is that how important it is to heal together. And part of that is starting with yourself, making sure that you care for yourself and you have this solid foundation. But then you're also really open to other ideas, other cultures, something that maybe you haven't thought of that could really resonate with you. And that's why going to something like TEDx, and especially this year too, where there's so many wellness speakers on mental health and all sorts of things, can open your eyes to other things you could incorporate into your own life, and that also you aren't alone in the things that you're struggling with. And then putting yourself out there, going out of the comfort zone. I think we've gotten way too comfortable behind our screens. And when you can actually relate with people in real life, that can be healing on so many different levels. Yeah. So.
No, that's great. And I mean, that's the truth, right? Any speaker up there has probably gone through their own mental health journey, if they're talking about it or not. Mm-hmm. And I think social media, we put out the best of us, and we don't put out, the vulnerable side of it. Yeah. One thing I've tried to do, and you mentioned it, is when you ask people how they're doing, you never get a real answer, right? And so you're asking people to be vulnerable all the time when you start with a question. And so trying to be purposeful on starting with, something else, make a comment or like compliment them instead of asking for them to be vulnerable first is such an important thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so, okay. What else? How long have you been with TEDx? Is this your first time speaking?
It's my first time speaking. And I just have to laugh because it used to be something like a big goal of mine. And I've been involved with TEDx. We were trying to run the numbers, but like 10 years, like either volunteering or I used to do massage backstage for the speakers. And I just always like to be involved because it is such an incredible event. Like Liz is saying it, but as like a fangirl for it, it legit is an amazing experience. And so I always have tried to be involved in some way. And as I got more comfortable with my own practice and as a practitioner, I did a lot of speaking events, and I was like, okay, I'm going to pitch this idea to Greg. And who's the organizer. And I was getting up all the courage, and I was going to send in this video, and then the pandemic happened. and then I got pregnant, and then just totally forgot. I didn't even think about it, and I was like, maybe someday in the future, if I ever get back into the groove of things. And then in the depths of my tired momdom,
it happens. Yeah.
Greg texted me to be a speaker, thanks to knowing his daughter at our kids go to the same daycare, and Greg asked his daughter who he wanted. I don't know. This is a story. I think it's a great story. Yeah. He asked his daughter who he wanted to hear at TEDx the next year, and she goes, Ari's mom, which is my son. And then Greg, I guess, thought it was a good idea. So then he asked me. So this is for Sloan, really, for Greg's daughter. I'm up there for her.
That's how the universe works, right?
I know. It's I'm just like, of all the times, but I have to just trust that this is the time. And what I have to share now is more significant than maybe what I would have even shared before. So,
well, what I love about TEDxFargo is, and it's just about our downtown in general, is events that are hosted by local entities like Emerging Prairie are just so much closer and connected to the community. Mm-hmm. I think even, I don't want to rag on the marathon, but the marathon lost something when they lost Mark running it, and it's become, a national company that's doing their best, but you lose that local feel. And I think that's what makes TEDxFargo so strong, is that you can pull both national speakers and just kind of gems out of the community, mm-hmm. like Randy or Tom or anybody else that have their own stories that maybe people don't know their stories, but when you're locals, you can find them.
Absolutely. Or when you can, someone's story, but then they get on stage and talk about something completely different, or they tie in some connection point, or we have another bonus event within that week that just allows people to connect differently with folks, right? Like our plan is to have a little table at coffee shops downtown where after the event or that week, if you want to go have a conversation with someone about TEDxFargo, sweet. There's just going to be a table with a sign that says, hey, come chat with me about TEDxFargo. Just kind of that community space to just continue the conversations, because it's part of the reason why we picked the theme thread for this year, is just tying the community together and recognizing that every thread tells a story. And we've seen that with all of our speakers, just like any other year that the speakers, like Randy said, it is a moment that it's meant to be their time to be on the TEDxFargo stage. And whether it's a life thing that happened, what's happening in the world or something, but there's a reason that this is the year that Randy's on stage. We may not know what that reason is yet, and that's okay. But those connection points that we're going to have there's something pivotal that's going to happen at TEDxFargo this year.
So Randy, if people want to know more about you or your studio or what's going on, where do they find information?
Yeah, so I'm kind of just coming out of my hibernation season and getting back into more stuff. So right now, I just rebuilt my website. So you can go to Hema Wellbeing is my business, HEMMA, which is actually a Scandinavian word for at home. So it's all about that concept of like coming home to yourself and investing in your home and your community for your well-being. I have a podcast called The Home Practice. That I'm just getting back into, and TEDx has been motivating me to come out of hiding. So, and then Instagram, I'm really active on there at Hema Wellbeing, and more to come, but that's where you can find me right now.
Okay, so one thing I ask all my guests, because we have a lot going on downtown, give a shout out to something that's outside your organization, outside of TEDx, that's doing something cool that you just want people to know about.
Last night was the night bazaar. Like Folkways is just doing some really, really cool things.
I feel like it's a cheating answer to say.
I
Folkways,
know,
'cause
it's
they're
not
just
cheating.
always
That was
up
going
to
to be
something.
mine.
They're always up to something.
Sorry.
Because I
They're
went to
always
Night
up to
Bazaar
something.
last night. And it
I
was
did
amazing.
not. You can talk about that. But what I would say is with Folkways, we do work a lot with them, and like they're building after TEDxFargo on the 24th is the night bazaar, and so like we're pretty strategic on how we have planned those events so that we can continue the conversation, continue the connections, and just bring downtown Fargo into amazing things. So
Yeah,
selfishly I picked them. Sorry.
that's okay. I went to Night Bazaar and they have more coming, and everything they do. And even Joe, one of the founders of Folkways, his TEDx talk last year was all about isolation, and I really resonated with that one. So that's worth checking out. But I would just say Fargo Square in general. They have the ice skating rink in the winter, and then they're really amping up their programming right now, and I think they're partnering with Jasper on like a concert series for the summer. They had a free Mason Jennings concert in the plaza, which was just, I wish I knew about it than the day before, but I also have small children, so
The next concert,
Yeah.
because I'm the administrator of Broadway Square,
Oh, you
is
are?
July 2nd.
Mhm.
So next Wednesday, Jeffrey Folkalt will be there. He was on the radio show last week,
oh nice.
which you can check out on Spotify and YouTube if you want to look, or WDAY to stream past ones. But yeah, Jeffrey Folkalt's going to be there. He's a storyteller, kind of gravelly voice, singer, kind of a modern Bob Dylan guy. But yeah, free community concert next week, starting at 6:30 for the opener and 7:30 for the main show. So yeah, perfect segue.
I didn't even try to have it be a
That's
plug
great.
for you, but
I was-
it's
I
good.
was, like,
It's
mentally
good
telling you.
stuff. Like it's a great place to just meet new people and build community.
That was
Awesome.
a
Well,
really great common thread there.
right.
Oh, hey,
Fred.
it's all coming together.
TEDxFargo.com. And so thanks for joining me. We'll be back in a little bit to talk about the time capsule at the library event yesterday. Welcome back to Rocky's Downtown Hour. I'm joined by Sydney Mason with the Fargo Public Library. Welcome, Sydney.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so the library's just got a ton of programming. It's always great. Check out what's going on all summer. Kids programming, adult programming.
We have something for everyone all summer long, and we are super busy this summer. Our newsletter with all of our programs didn't even have room for the descriptions. We just have a list of all the things going on.
That's amazing. So I'm a past president of the Friends of the Fargo Public Library, so I'm a big fan. My always favorite stat was that the Fargo Library gets more visitors than the Fargo Dome every year.
Oh,
And I assume that's still true, so I'm just going to keep saying it until somebody corrects me from the Fargo Dome.
I'm going with it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. All sorts of resources. But yesterday was fun. So it was the 150th anniversary of Fargo becoming a city. And so 50 years ago, to celebrate the centennial, they buried a time capsule.
Right.
And yesterday you opened it.
We did. It was very fun and exciting to see exactly what they thought was important enough to put in the time capsule. And we were surprised by some of those things too. But yeah, it was a fun evening.
So what did you expect to be in it?
Well, based on the video that WDAY had, the little snippet of it from then, we could tell that there was a lot of documents and paper. So we were expecting that. And then a couple other mentions in the forum article that was written at the time. We had a little bit of an idea, but I think we were, hoping for like Fargo yearbooks or just something more to do with the culture. But I if I'm not mistaken, and somebody out there may be able to correct me on this, but I think the FM chamber was the well, actually at the time it was just the Fargo Chamber, the main driver of this time capsule. And so a lot of the things that were put in there were business related, which is also fun to
Yeah.
go back to.
It's always tough to know. So, okay. So I went to the party before it was opened, and the 70s music was blaring. It was a good time. Who opened it? The mayor? Was the mayor the one opening it, or who got to dig into it?
Well, yeah, actually one of our facilities maintenance people had to use a bobcat to lift the lid on it because it was concrete, a actual concrete
It was like
vault.
a tomb, like a
Yeah.
crypt. Yeah.
Mhm. And so once he lifted it, then yeah, the mayor and our archivists there that kind of looked through everything and took it out and shared with us what it was. And that was John Hallberg from NDSU Institute for Regional Studies, and then Charlotte Stoddard from Bonanzaville with Cass County.
Okay, so what were the highlights? What came out?
I think the highlights, well, the biggest reaction from the people was the telephone.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of those old trim line phones, and it would have been fun to have a child see if they could figure out how to use it, you know.
Yeah.
But I think also the letter addressed from a young girl to anybody, and that was also a real fun thing to see and hear. I don't believe they read the letter, but just the description on the outside of the envelope was funny. So
Yeah, it's funny to think if you put a cell phone in there today,
Yeah.
thinking it's not really that relevant. There's millions of them out there, billions probably at this point. Like, what is that going to be in 50 years? Do we even have cell phones? Is it all
Exactly.
like in our earpiece or something like that?
right, yeah, it'd be fun to see. I know that the mayor had talked about putting in a time capsule this year, or I mean next year, and the library, of course, would love to participate with the city in doing that. And it will be fun to kind of brainstorm to come up with different things that we can put in that we think will be relevant to the people in 50 to 100 years.
Yeah, hopefully books are still a thing, and not all on Kindles or whatever else.
Exactly. I'm not sure if we'd want to put any. I mean, I guess now maybe the containers they make for time capsules are a little bit more secure from the elements, but otherwise we'd probably put everything on a thumb drive or something like that and put it in there.
Yeah. So what else would you think would come from the library that would be put in there, or from the community?
Yeah.
I always like letters. That's always a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. It would be fun to do some sort of a letter writing campaign and then put all those on a thumb drive and have that included. But I think it would be interesting we have some pieces of the granite from the 1970s library building. We could put some of that in there, and just probably you want to include some photos for sure. But maybe one of the old-fashioned stampers.
Oh, yeah. Don't get those much anymore, yeah.
No, but a library card, of course. And
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, so what else is coming up at the library? What else do you have going on?
Oh, we have
You're
a
excited
lot
about?
of really interesting events, especially for if people love history. We on July 29th, we have the son of Francis Gary Powers, the pilot that was went down in Russia. He's going to come, and he's written a book, and he's going to talk about his father and his relationship with his father. So that's on the 29th at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. We have currently we have a library card design contest going on, which we would love to have entries for that. The winning entries are made into library cards. So
Is that a all ages contest?
it is, yes.
So you're looking for professional designers and kids and everything in between?
Exactly, everything in between. Yeah. Coming up in the next month, I know for kids we've got a week-long series of color in nature kind of related events. So we'll have someone from NDSU who will bring some butterfly samples, and we've got we're going to look at rocks and that sort of thing. And actually this afternoon we have the comedy duo the Mixed Nuts coming to the main library at 1, and they are hilarious. So that's appropriate for all ages.
So at 1 o'clock. So if anybody's listening right now and you're looking for something to do at 1. that'd be fun.
Exactly. Yeah. I hope they'll join us.
Okay, so I asked all my guests, what else is going on downtown separate from the library that you just like, that you think is cool? Like, oh, that's neat. I want to do that.
Well, if I wasn't so tired last night after our event, I would have loved to have gone down to Broadway Square for the Folkways event. And I'm looking forward very much to the street fair, as I do each year.
Yeah.
So I think those, well, and then is Island Park considered part of downtown?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I love going to their event in August, the vendor fair or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah, so Street Fair, obviously, we're in charge of that. So July 17th through 19th, we're sending out a press release today to show off our new Street Fair art. Speaking of local artists, we have a local artist that designed a downtown raccoon as our little mascot for the Street Fair this year. And so
Awesome.
we're looking forward to that. All our vendors are now on our website as well, so you can check out our vendor listings on downtownfargo.com or check out all the library programs. Just Google Fargo Public Library or go to the city's website. Anyways, Cindy, thank you for coming on. We'll see you in 50 years maybe. And we'll next time.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good weekend, everybody.